is just your classic draw it and talk about it, okay? So I don't think it's fair to ask you to draw this. That's mean. So I provide all the diagrams and you fill in the boxes, all right? Now, if you're using Notability, I do not expect you to be able to fit all of the words inside of the box, okay? Be comfortable with the terms or the words going outside of the ovals, outside of the circles, outside of the boxes. That's totally fine. So you label it here and then you talk about it. Now, when you handle this first question, notice how in the question itself, it says briefly discuss this, okay? So you're strictly talking about, hey, carbon dioxide comes in and water, right? And light. So water comes in, water is split, oxygen comes out. The electrons are excited. The high energy electrons are bonded to CO2 to make G3P. Keep it that general. I don't need heavy detail here because we're going to pick up the detail later on in the exam, okay? Don't get into here, don't get into photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. You don't have to get into NADPH and NADP and the associated proton phosphorylation. Big picture ideas, okay? Water, carbon dioxide in, oxygen, G3P out. High energy electrons, low energy electrons from the water are excited and bonded to CO2 to make G3P. That's what we're looking for, right? Question 2, now we get into the nitty gritty, right? That's why I don't need the details in question 1. I'm going to get the details out of you, okay? Now, not all of the details all at once, right? When you see the electron transport chain here, we don't need all those details yet. So for question number 2, you're not talking about proton pumps. You're not talking about proton gradient. You're not talking about chemiosmosis. You're not talking about ATP synthase, all right? Here, this is all, do you understand the big picture idea between photosystem 2 and photosystem 1? Do you understand that photosystem 2 excites electrons and that excited electron is then used to make ATP? That's it. Photosystem 1, that electron gets excited, bonded to an electron carrier, off to the Calvin cycle. Okay, so what we're really after here is, do you understand the difference between photosystem 2 and photosystem 1? Okay, same thing. You're going to have a hard time fitting NADP reductase into that box. Okay, so if reductase stretches out beyond that box, totally cool, right? Then question 3. Now we're going to get to some detail, all right? So now here's where I need to hear about the pumping of protons. Here's where I need to hear about the proton gradient. I need to hear about chemiosmosis. I need to hear about oxidation, reduction, all right? This is where we get the details. That's why if you look at the instructions, it says oxidation, reduction, chemiosmosis, proton gradient, photophosphorylation. You go, what? Okay, phosphorylation is the bonding of phosphate to anything else, okay? If I phosphorylate this pencil, that means that I bond a phosphate to it, okay? So in the thylakoid, ATP synthase phosphorylates ADP into ATP, okay? ATP synthase phosphorylates ADP into ATP. However, the energy for this process is provided by light. Therefore, the phosphorylation here is referred to as photophosphorylation. You say, why? Because when we talk about cell resp next, inside of the mitochondrion, there's a tremendous amount of phosphorylation that happens, but it's not driven by light. So inside of the mitochondrion, there's just phosphorylation. Inside of the thylakoid, that's where you have photophosphorylation, okay? So in a plant cell, there's a lot of phosphorylation going on. Some phosphorylation is in the mitochondrion, some phosphorylation is in the chloroplast. How do we differentiate? Phosphorylation in the mitochondrion, phosphorylation. Phosphorylation in the chloroplast, photophosphorylation. That's it, okay? So that little starburst right there, photophosphorylation. Ooh. All right, then, ta-da, Calvin. Okay, same thing, lots of boxes. See the big picture. RUBP is here. PGA, BPG, G3P, G3P, TP, right? If you're a STEM major and you're a biology major, you will get into the biochemistry of this when you're about 20 years old. You will take a botany class, you'll take second semester biochemistry, and they will talk about how the carbons and the oxygens move. It's not difficult. It's really not. In fact, a lot of it is blind memorization, okay? And people say, oh, that's complicated. And you go, no, it's memorization, all right? That's not what we're after now. I want you to see the big picture idea that you start with a 5-carbon RUBP, you bring in a CO2, that makes a 6-carbon PGA. That 6-carbon PGA breaks apart into a 3-carbon, that unstable intermediate breaks into the 3-carbon PGA. You then phosphorylate that, BPG. You then reduce that, G3P. All right, big picture ideas. So you fill this diagram in here, and then we give you this big old beautiful page to talk about it. Okay, then the last question. It says, hey, very briefly, okay, I want you to go back to when you were freshmen, and I want you to go back through the reaction that some of you wrote with me as freshmen, all of you wrote with me as juniors in Core 2, and then that was part of the introduction to Core 8. Okay, sit down to that good old-fashioned 6 carbon dioxide, 6 water forms 1 glucose and 6 oxygen, and get back to that simple equation, knowing now all of the depth behind it. Okay, so there are times where you zoom into the details, and there's other times where you back off and go, hey, do you get the big picture? All right, that's why I say on number 5, very briefly, give me that good old-fashioned equation, color coordinate your atoms, give me the arrows for photolysis, give me the arrows for the carboxylation, right? And explain it superficially. And then, of course, when you sit back, why do you water your plants, right? We talk about all this fancy science, and ultimately, I want you to understand that why do we water plants? Because water is a low energy electron source. Water is a source of low energy electrons. No water, no electrons. No low energy electrons, no G3P, and the plant literally starves to death. Okay, so we need to pick a date for this exam. Do you have any major assignments coming up? Anything big on the horizon?
On Tuesday, we have an essay for English.
Okay. So I'm, let's see, you're doing presentations Wednesday, Thursday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The juniors are presenting Monday, Tuesday, and you're presenting Wednesday, Thursday. So anything major happening on the week of the 10th?
Mr. Monroe, would you like to have the core questions done before the exam, or when would you like the core questions due?
At the same time.
At the same time? Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking the week of the 10th. Is there anything going on here that we need to be aware of?
As of right now, no.
As of right now.
That I understand. Okay. So then if you present Wednesday, Thursday, could we collect the notebook and the exam on Thursday, the 13th?
I believe so.
Yeah.
All right. Then let's go over here. I want this. What do we say? Thursday, the 13th? Seniors. Get in here. Look at all those assignments. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I already put that in there. Interesting. Okay. That was kind of a guess. Nice. Sweet. Speaking of presentations, is everyone comfortable what they're presenting, what we're looking for here next Wednesday, Thursday? Anyone not clear on that?
It's clear.
All right, you guys are okay? All right, cool. All right, then I'm going to cut you loose. We will start. I need to post. I will do that as soon as you all leave. I will post the animation so that way you have access to this. And then as soon as I hear anything from Grove about that email, I am 99.999% sure that it's bogus. We just need to track down where it came from, whether it was a mistake by our administrative team, whether it was a mistake by our counseling team, or it's some kind of hack, prank, troll email. But I am not in any way concerned that any of you are not going to graduate high school, especially considering that some of you are passing all your classes and you're still getting the email. That tells me that although you got a very big jolt of adrenaline this morning, you guys will be fine. And don't forget to type attend over in the chat. And if you need anything over the weekend, drop me a text, and I will see you all Tuesday morning.